Hello everyone, I am Kinshuk Parashar and I welcome you all to this StudyIQ platform. Okay. In this session, we are going to start with the chapter 4 of Science and Technology book. In the last two sessions, we have discussed about some of the concepts related to the human body. Okay. We have discussed about the nervous system. Okay. Then we have also discussed about the respiratory system. These two things we have discussed in the previous sessions. Okay. Now we are going to start with one more very important system of human body, and that is going to be the circulatory system. Circulatory system is basically, like last day also I was telling you, it is something which is having somewhat connection. In the previous session I have told you that it is having somewhat connection with the respiratory system as well. So we are going to see that what are the different organs here and what are the different activities which go on in case of circulatory system. See, the respiratory system and circulatory system, they are quite much important for you from the examination perspective. There are a lot of things which we will discuss here from where you can get certain questions. Now let us see that what exactly is this circulatory system. If we talk about it, okay, normally we can divide our, if we talk about the circulatory system, we can see that there are certain organelles which are there. There are certain organs which are there, and they are very much important. Okay, what are these organs? If we talk about them, one of the major organ which is there is our heart. Okay, so heart is the first major organ which we can see here. Okay, then we can also see that there is also presence of blood. Okay, blood is also part of it. Then we have the blood vessels. Okay, the blood vessels are also playing a very important role in this. Okay. So heart, blood vessels, okay, they are some of the important organs which are there. Okay. We are going to see that how they are operating. Okay. But before going into the circulatory system of the humans, let us talk about the other organisms. Like if we talk about the arthropods and the mollusks, they are basically having an open circulatory system. Okay. And in this system, you will find that the blood is pumped by the heart through large vessels into open spaces. Okay. And these open spaces are called as sinuses. Okay. So there they are simply pumping the blood in order to transfer the different substances which are needed. Okay. Let us first understand that what is the main role of this circulatory system. Okay. See, this is just like a transportation system. When you have to move people from one place to another place, you will need certain transport. So in our body, the circulatory system is the one which is transporting the different substances from one part of the body to another part of the body. For example, in the last session, we have discussed that we have this respiratory system, and there is one important gas, oxygen. Oxygen is transported by the hemoglobin which is present in the blood to the different part of the body. And at the same time, blood carries back the carbon dioxide from the different cells of the body to the lungs and finally out of the body. Okay. So you can see at that point also we have seen that these circulatory systems, they are helping in the transportation of gases. Okay. When we will discuss the digestion system, we will again find that in the digestion system, the small intestine which is there, it has villi-like structure which are very much well connected with one important type of blood vessels which is called as blood capillaries. Okay. So they are connected with it, and the blood capillaries is also absorbing the food from there, absorbing it and then transporting it to the different cells of the body. So transport of food, that is also being done by the circulatory system. At the same time, you might be wondering, like suppose that maybe you are having some pain in your legs. Okay. You are having some pain in your legs, but then you are orally consuming a pill, and after some time that pain goes away. You have some headache, you consume a pill, it goes to your stomach, and then after some time the pain goes away. So how this pill which you are consuming, which is going into your stomach, is going there? Basically again, the blood comes to the rescue. The blood is there which is transferring these medicines to the different part of the body. Okay. So this circulatory system is basically a transport system in our body, responsible for transfer of food also, responsible for transfer of gases also, for medicines also, and other substances. Okay. So that is the role of the circulatory system in our body, transportation. Okay. Now, we can see the annulates and chordates, they have a closed circulatory system. Okay. And in the closed circulatory system, the blood is pumped by the heart within a closed network of blood vessels. Okay. Like you can see, if we talk about the fishes, there is also something. If we talk about the heart structure of different organisms, fishes are having two-chambered heart. Okay. Then amphibians, they have basically three-chambered heart. And if we talk about the mammals, okay, if we talk about the mammals, you will find that majority of them are having a four-chambered heart. Like humans also, we have a four-chambered heart. Okay. So we will look into that portion also in the later course of this chapter. Okay. Then see, this is basically our circulatory system. We have one organ which is the heart. Okay. Then we have got certain blood vessels. Blood vessels are, again, you can see in this image here also, you can find that we are having certain red colored structures. These red colored structures are what we basically call as arteries. Okay. They are represented in red because they carry oxygen rich blood. They carry oxygen rich blood. And they carry the blood from the heart to the different organs of the body. Okay. Then there are second one, the blue colored one, they are called as veins. Okay. And these veins, they are basically carrying the carbon dioxide rich blood. Okay. Or they are carrying the carbon dioxide from the different part of the body towards the heart. Okay. So that is again their role. Okay. Then you might find that they are very fine structures, they are very small structures. And these small structures are what we call as capillaries. Okay. These small fine structures are called as capillaries. Okay. You can see here, this is our heart. Okay. And from this portion, from this heart portion, you can see that various arteries or veins are coming out. Okay. And here you will find that fine thread-like structure is there. That thread-like structure or fine structure is basically representing your capillaries. Okay. The capillaries are facilitating the exchange of the substances with the cell and the blood. Okay. So they are connected with each and every cell of the body, and then they facilitate the exchange of the different substances. Okay. Now, if we talk about like fishes, you can see that their heart is basically pumping the deoxygenated blood, okay, and which is oxygenated by gills. Okay, so in fish, if we talk about their heart is pumping deoxygenated blood, that oxygenation is carried out by the gills. In the humans, this oxygenation is carried out by the lungs of our body. Okay, but in the fishes, they are surviving in water. In the water, dissolved oxygen is there. Okay, and that dissolved oxygen is that oxygen in the water is being absorbed by the gills of the fishes. Okay. So their oxygenation goes on there. Amphibians and reptiles, they have a partial separation of this oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So they are also having this system. Okay. Now, there is one thing which you should particularly understand here. The sponges and hydra, they do not possess any circulatory system. These amphibians or fishes, you might have seen that they have some sort of circulatory system. But if we talk about the sponges and the hydra, they are very much simpler organisms and they do not possess a circulatory system. Okay. They are basically relying on the water. They rely on the water for the exchange of the different substances. Okay. So they are exchanging the different substances with the help of the environmental factors, the abiotic factor, that is water. Okay. They do not have that much developed or any such circulatory system. Okay. So their exchange of gases takes place in the open environment with the help of water. Okay. And even the other substances. Okay. Now, if we talk about the circulatory system, if we talk about our heart first, the heart is basically a four-chambered in case of human. Okay. In most of the mammals you will find this same structure. Okay, then the upper two chambers, they are called as the arteria, and the lower chambers are called as the ventricles. Okay, there is a separation between them which is prohibiting the mixing of the different type of blood. Okay, in the ventricles there is entry of this deoxygenated blood, and in the case of arteria you have the oxygenated blood. Okay, now if we talk about the heartbeat, like how this heartbeat is there, basically there are muscular chambers in the heart which contracts and relaxes in a rhythmic manner, in a rhythmic pattern, and this rhythmic pattern is what is seen in like a heartbeat. Okay, so that rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the heart muscles are the ones which are responsible for the heart which we can observe. Okay, then like if we talk about our heart, we have seen two upper chambers, two lower chambers are there. Okay, so the entire heart, basically it is made up of cardiac muscles. Okay, ventricles are thicker than those of arteria. Okay, the walls of the ventricles are thicker in comparison to that of arteria. Okay, now let us see this. There is another structure after the heart. We have another structure which is called as blood vessels. Okay, if we talk about the blood vessels, see this part. This portion is what we call as arteria. Okay, it is the one which is carrying the oxygenated blood. Then after, we have certain fine structures, very fine structures. These fine structures, like first you can see arteria breaks into these fine structures. These fine structures combine together in order to form the vein. Okay, so arteria breaks into capillaries. Capillaries join together to form the vein. Okay, now like if we talk about, these are our blood vessels, the three blood vessels, arteria, veins and capillaries. Artery becoming the, or artery we can say that it is the thickest one. Okay, now if we talk about the blood and its component, what are the different components which are present in our blood? First of all, we can see that we have one thing called as RBC, that is red blood cell. Red blood cell. Now this red blood cell is present. This red blood cell is present due to presence of a pigment which is called as hemoglobin. Now we have already discussed about the role of the hemoglobin. It is the one which is responsible for transfer of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the body. Okay, then there is another particle called as white blood cells. Okay, now these white blood cells, see one more thing, they roughly account for around 40 to 45% of the blood. Okay, now they roughly account for 40 to 45% of blood. There is another group called as white blood cells. They are the one having the T lymphocyte or the B lymphocyte. Okay, and they are basically consisting or providing the immunity to the body. Providing immunity to the body. Providing immunity to body. Basically here we are having the T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. Okay, the T lymphocytes are triggering the release of antibodies, and B lymphocytes, they are basically responsible for creating of these antibodies. Okay, so they are providing the immunity to the body. Okay, the third major thing is our plasma. Now it is the majority portion of our blood. Majority portion of the blood. Okay. This plasma is basically responsible for transport of different substances, proper movement or circulation of the blood. Okay, it ensures the transportation, plus also it ensures that there is proper movement of the blood. This forms the majority part of the blood. Okay, it is also responsible for transporting the different lymphocytes and all other from one portion to another portion. Okay, so that is plasma. There is also another part which is called as platelets. Okay, now platelets are basically fragmented cells. Basically they are broken cells, and these platelets are very much essential for one particular purpose, and that is clotting of blood. Clotting of blood. Clotting of blood. So they are the one responsible behind the clotting of blood. Okay. Now, so these are the different components of our blood. Okay. Now, if we see one more thing, in this chapter, there is one particular topic which you must be understanding, which you must be aware about, and that is the blood group. Okay. So what are the factors which are responsible for deciding the blood group, and how these blood groups are interchanged between one another? Can they be, who will be giving blood to whom? Okay. Now, to understand this, you have to first understand one very important part. Okay. There are two types of proteins which can be found in our blood. Okay. One type of such protein is A antigen. A antigen. And second is called as B antigen. B antigen. So one type of protein is A antigen, second type is B antigen. Now suppose that there is a person X. Now if this person is consisting of A antigen in his body, if the person is having a protein A antigen in his blood, then in that case it will have B antibodies. B antibodies. See why this is happening. Whenever any foreign substance is entering into our body, the body pursues that as a threat. Okay. So if any foreign substance is coming into our body, if anything is coming in our body, the body is pursuing that, body is considering that as a threat. Okay. So there are generally two types of protein in the blood, that is A antigen and B antigen. Now suppose if a person is having A antigen in his body, and if B is coming in his blood, if B protein is coming in his blood by transfusion of blood or anything, then the person's body will be manufacturing the B antibodies. Okay. The person will automatically manufacture the B antibodies, and it will oppose the mixing of these two bloods. Okay. Similarly, suppose that there is another person Y. Okay. If that person is having B antigen, then in that case, the person will make A antibodies. The person will make A antibodies. So here, the B type of blood will be allowed, but if the A blood is coming, it will be opposed. Now think about it. There are two other major types of blood group. One is called as AB group, and the second is called as O group. Okay. So what are there? What is in that case? Okay. So let us consider we have a person P and another person Q. Okay. Let us say that this P person is having A and B both in his body. This person is having both of the proteins A and B in his body. Okay. So now he is already having a taste of both A antigen and B antigen. In this case, there won't be production of any antibodies because both type of proteins are already there. Both the types of proteins are already there. Okay. So this person will not be creating any such antibodies. They will not be creating any such antibodies. There will be no such creation. Okay. Now, what about this person Q? Basically, this person is neither having A nor having B. This blood, if a person is having O group, then this person is neither having A protein nor having B protein. So A and B both are missing. It is having neither A nor B. And in this case, the person's blood can manufacture both type of antibodies. They can manufacture A antibodies and also B antibodies. They can manufacture the A antibodies also and B antibodies also. Okay. So this person who is having the O blood group, they will not be able to take blood from any such person who is having A antibodies, or sorry, A blood group, B blood group, or AB blood group. Okay. So that is the first factor. There are two proteins, A antigen, B antigen. Okay. If a person is having A antigen and if B blood is supplied to that, the body will form a B antibody, because B protein will be considered as a foreign substance, and the body doesn't entertain any foreign substance. It considers that as a threat, so it will not be allowed. Similarly, this person Y, it is having a B antigen, and if A is coming inside, that will be treated as a threat. It will not be allowed. Okay. So that is another thing. If we talk about the person P, the person P is having both A and B, so there is no such manufacturing of the antibodies. Okay. There is no such manufacturing of anti-A or anti-B bodies. Okay. So that is one thing. And then if this person Q, if that person is neither having A protein, neither having B antigen or protein, then in that case, it can make antibodies against A blood group type also, B blood group type also, and also AB blood group. Okay. Now, on the basis of this parameter, we can make a table like this. See, here we are denoting the donor, and here we are having the receiver. So A can receive the blood from A, that is true, but it cannot receive the blood from B. Now think about it, can they receive the blood from AB? See, the problem is, this is having a B protein. Now in the case of A, this B protein will create a problem. So while A might have been accepted, but due to the presence of even a B protein, this is now not going to be accepted. The person will not be able to take the blood even from AB donor. Okay. What about O? O is neither having A nor having B. So it is a plain blood. It is not having any protein. So there is not going to be any such problem, because entry of an extra substance is a problem. Entry of anything extra is a problem, but if something is missing, that is not a problem. Okay. So here again O is allowed. Similarly, in the case of B, we can see here it is not allowed, here allowed, not allowed, and allowed. Okay. Then AB, it can receive from A. There is just one A. It has both A and B. There is no problem. It can accept A also, it can accept B also, it can accept AB also, and it can accept O also. So this AB blood group can receive blood from all these donors. If we talk about O, now with O there is a problem. It cannot get A, it cannot get B, it cannot get AB. It can receive blood only from O, because it needs a blood which is free from protein, which is free from A antigen and B antigen. Okay. So that is one part of it. But then there is presence of one more factor, and that is called as Rh antigen. Rh antigen. Basically, Rh antigen is a protein which is found in rhesus monkey. Okay. It is found in rhesus monkey, hence the name is Rh antigen. So suppose that if there is a person, if he is having the presence of Rh antigen, it is called as A positive. If there is a lack of antigen, it is called as A negative. Okay. So if person is having this Rh protein, if it is having it, then it will be called as A positive. If it is not having it, means this is not coming here, then it will be called as A negative. Okay. So if there is presence of Rh factor, if there is presence of Rh protein, the blood group is called as positive blood group. If there is absence of this Rh protein, then it is called as negative blood group. Okay. Now think one very important thing here. if a person is having a negative blood group, he cannot be supplied blood from anyone who is having positive blood group. If a person is having a negative blood group, he cannot be supplied blood from any other person who is having a positive blood group. Can you think why? It is very much simple. If a person is having a positive blood group, it means he is having an extra protein, extra substance. An entry of extra substance in the blood is not allowed. It will not be tolerated by the body. Okay. So a person who is having negative blood group can accept blood from only those persons who are having the negative blood group. Whereas, if we talk about the positive blood group, they can accept the blood from positive also and negative also. Why? Because positive means RH is present here also, RH is present in the blood also. So no problem at all. But negative also means that protein is missing. So if there is no such extra substance coming, then also there is going to be no such problem. Okay. So a positive blood group can receive blood from positive person also, negative blood group person also. Whereas a negative blood group person can receive blood only from a negative blood group person. Okay. So on the basis of it, we can again have a table now, a consolidated table now. You can see it that now we have to make such a table where we can arrange the entire blood group in one single table. Okay. So see here. Now we have got 8 columns, we have got 8 row also. Here we have A positive, A negative, B positive, B negative, then AB positive, AB negative, okay. Then O positive, O negative. Okay. Here again we are having A positive, A negative, B positive, B negative, O positive, O negative, AB positive, AB negative. Okay, we have got an extra column also. Okay. Now see here, can this A person receive blood from this A positive? The answer is yes, the person can receive it. Can it receive from A minus? Yes, it can receive. But can it receive from B positive or B negative? The answer is no. No, because this is having a B protein also, so it will not be allowed. Can it receive from O positive? Answer will be yes. O negative? Again yes. What about AB positive and negative? You can see there is an extra protein in form of B. So this is something which is not going to be allowed. Okay. Similarly, in case of A minus, now see here, can it receive from A positive? The answer is no. Can it receive from A negative? Yes, allowed. Okay. Here again no, here again no. Now see here, can it receive blood from O positive? The answer is no, because the O positive is having one positive RH factor, means it is having the RH protein. But here in the case of A negative, the RH protein will not be allowed. So O positive cannot give it, but O negative, yes, they can. Okay. What about them? They cannot provide because they are having AB. Okay. Then B positive, can it receive? Answer is no, because A is there, so entirely no. Then if we talk about the B positive, answer will be yes, B negative yes, and then no. If we talk about B negative, can it receive blood from A negative? Answer is no. Here again no, it cannot receive blood from B positive. It can receive it from B negative and O negative. Okay. Then AB positive, it can receive blood from everyone. Okay. It can receive blood from everyone. Why? Because it is having all the antigens in itself. It is having A also, B also, RH factor also. So there is nothing extra. So anyone can give blood to AB positive person. Okay. So this AB positive is also called as universal recipient It is called as universal recipient. Okay. Now, AB negative. Now, negative cannot take from positive. So, on one hand it is allowed, on another hand it is not allowed. Okay. So, it can receive from A negative, B negative, O negative and AB negative. If we talk about O positive, it can just strike all of them. There is just two from where they can get O positive and O negative, and then again strike it. Then talk about this O negative. Can it provide? Can it take? No. 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 Only one thing. It can receive blood only from O negative. This O negative is called as universal donor. This is called as universal donor. Okay. It cannot receive from them also. Okay. So this is what we call as universal donor. So O negative is our universal donor. Here on this side we are having the donor. Here we are having the recipient. Recipient. Okay. So here we can see AB positive is our universal recipient, whereas O negative is our universal donor. So that is the blood group which you should try to see, try to understand it. If you understand the things, that nothing foreign is going to be allowed. And if you remember, there are three proteins, A antigen, B antigen and RH antigen. And if you remember what is allowed and what is not allowed, you don't have to memorize it. You can simply make it at any point of time. Okay. So just keep that thing in mind. There are three proteins, A antigen, B antigen and RH antigen. And on the basis of it, you can decide whether it can be allowed for transfusion or not. Okay. So that is our blood group. That is our circulatory system which we have discussed. We have seen what is the heart. Okay. Then we have talked about the circulatory systems, the blood vessels, the blood groups also. Okay. So they are the part of our circulatory system. Okay. So thank you very much. And in the next session, we are going to discuss some other systems of human body. We are still going through the chapter 4 of Science and Technology book. I will suggest you that do read the book just for understanding it and revising it multiple times. Thank you very much. All the best.